operative. He was involved in the massacre in the south, and also a naval commando who was involved. We're going after each and every one of them. We're still doing some localized raid or contained raids near the fence. And again, we're preparing for all the future options, which I won't go into. Everybody's going to ask me that question. When is it going to be on what's going to happen next? I'm not going to talk about it. We're talking to the hostages and also we're talking to the terrorists that we took, and we're interrogating them, and we're gathering a lot of information. Listen, everyone, I know there's frustration, and we're trying to give the best. And I know the access is problematic, but it's still the area around the Gaza Strip is still an active war zone. So there's still ongoing dangers there. It's something you have to be aware of. And we're preparing right now we're preparing. If you ever's been down there, you see there's a lot of movement of forces. We're organizing all the forces for our future stages. And again, our goal military-wise is to dismantle Hamas's capabilities all the way up to Sinwar. The rocket attacks continue. You're all here. You're seeing them. The humanitarian zone is already opened in the Mawasi area. It's south of Wadi Gaza. And we're recommending all the people that have moved south to go to open areas west of Khan Yunis. I know there's a lot of questions also on the entry of aid through Rafah crossing. It's TBD at this point. I know there's a lot of pressure on it. It's being discussed. It's happening in other channels. Listen, Lebanon, you're seeing it too. I've already mentioned the American presence here also in the Med. Eisenhower being on the way too. They're trying right now. Again, it's a language of kinetics. I've said this already to deflect the attention from Gaza, and we're attacking back. It's Hezbollah. They'll be held accountable for whatever they do. But again, it's happening at there's a certain language of kinetics here. Some of them, all, by the way, also that are firing are Palestinian terrorist groups. It's not only Hezbollah, but Hezbollah, we assume, know about it, just like we had in Ramadan. We struck last night some of their Hezbollah assets. There was a UAV attack also last night. And basically right now, our policy is every time they shoot, we'll shoot back. Anyone that will try to cross the border, it's a hot zone, will be stopped. We're going to be evacuating, and again, this is a dramatic decision at the government level. We're going to be evacuating the population from Kiryat Shmona. We're going to start the implementation this morning, and it could take us some time. And again, I'm saying this again. I heard the Northern Command this morning. They're ready for any scenario. And we're in full force for any possibility that unfolds in the north. I want to just, looking internationally, I'm sure you read or saw maybe in Israeli media about the fires from Yemen. I recommend you all to see the exact statements from General Pat Ryder, who talked about it. I think that CENTCOM also mentioned the USS Carney, which is an Aegis air defense ship. I think the Americans intercepted it. And as you all know, we have a very, very strong posture of air defense, coordinated with the Americans, also in the air and also in the sea. And I think, I can't talk for the Americans, but it shows the capabilities that they have here in the region, not only in the Med, but also in the Red Sea. General Kurilla was here. There were discussions. We're coordinating. I'm even speaking to my counterpart all the time. and it's an ongoing relationship, which is very tight. Our statistics right now, we have declared 306 fallen soldiers. There's 200 missing confirmed hostages, people that are inside the Gaza Strip. It's 203 plus 100 missing persons. Rockets launched at Israel, 6,900 plus. We are aware that 450 of them fell inside Gaza. That's all I have for you this morning. I'll open it up for questions. Elliot Godkin, CNN.
Morning, Richard. You mentioned that the area around the Gaza Strip is still a hot zone. How many Hamas people do you believe are still inside Israel? Is there like a figure that you're working on? And as far as the north goes, is there a kind of threshold beyond which it will mean that's it? It's all out war with Hezbollah, like a major casualty attack from Hezbollah militants on Israel.
So around the Gaza Strip, I think the majority, I mean, of the Hamas people we've more or less taken care of. There was still someone that tried to actually get back in yesterday. You know, when that thing happened, Elliot, the Nukba guys came in, and then all the mob, the Shabab, came in big numbers. I think that guy that tried to go back yesterday, he wasn't a kingpin operative. I think it's very, very small numbers. That's why we're still very on high readiness there. There's still roadblocks. There's still a lot of forces there, posturing, looking. We still have a lot of ISR activity there, scanning the fields. It's small numbers. Lebanon, the threshold, again, right now it's a threshold that you're seeing. It's sort of poking. It's just like it depends. It's a factor of damage. Let's see what happens. Right now, it's at a certain level. We're trying to contain it. We're responding. Hezbollah exactly know what the line is. If they use their long rangers or do something which is very, very aggressive, that would be a change. To tell you what's going to be the exact activity that will cross the Rubicon, I don't know what to say, Elliot. Gareth Brown.
Hi, Richard. Thanks for doing this. What can you tell us about the raid yesterday near Tulkarm in terms of assets the IDF deployed? Is it bigger than the July 23 raid? And what does it say about the wider situation in the West Bank?
So again, our focus right now is on Gaza. We're still acting inside Judea and Samaria, mainly on Hamas activity. To tell you that I prepared myself on exactly what happened last night in Noah Shams. I don't know the nitty-gritty of it, but I know that we were focusing on Hamas operatives in Noah Shams. I mean, that camp we went in a few weeks ago. I think one of the reporters was there to see their robust infrastructure, and right now we're clamping down on the Hamas operatives there. I'm just reading the message. Yeah, it was mainly Hamas people. It's a hotspot. I mean, the amount of munitions coming at the forces there. I'm just thinking. I think we even lost one of our soldiers there from the border. One of the special forces from our border police. And we lost our warrior there last night. It's pretty hot down there. That's all I have for you. So there's some people here that there's a lot of people here. Can you just put where you're from, like John H? I don't know where you're from. Is it John Huddy from?
Yeah, Colonel, can you hear me?
Yeah,
it's John Huddy with Newsmax.
Yeah, so just put on your next time's Newsmax so I know who it is.
Yeah, I don't know why it's coming up like that. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm wondering if there's any more intelligence information from the IDF having to do with the hospital blast in Gaza. If you guys have any numbers on casualties, and if there's any intelligence to suggest if Hamas was using either the hospital, the adjacent parking lot, any of that vicinity for its storage and firing of rockets? And also, second quick question having to do with U.S. military support. Some APCs arrived from the United States on a cargo plane this week. Is that the first contingent of more armored vehicles and equipment to come from the United States? If so, do you have any numbers on that? And where can we see those APCs that landed if they've been deployed to the field yet? Thank you.
So everything that we had on the hospital, we gave you, and I just want to emphasize again here to everyone that we were very surprised, actually disappointed that a lot of the press immediately went to the Hamas declarations that it was an Israeli airstrike before actually examining it. Everything that we had, we gave you. What did I do? What did we do that night? We took our ISR squadron that went out and did the visual, gave you the visuals. You also saw them in the morning, also in black and white thermally at night, and also color in the morning, that showed that it was a parking lot where that field launch landed. You saw that I think some of the footage also from Channel 12 and also from Al Jazeera, that there was a lot of propellant that came out of that field launch because it was a long ranger of Islamic Jihad. So that was basically ignited and created that big fire that you saw in our visuals. And you heard the phone call. I mean, John, I don't have much more than that at this point. We're at war right now. We're already in the next stages. We gave you everything we could. About
no, I understand. I was just asking if there was any update on that.
Yeah,
I understand.
And the second piece, it's not APCs like Bradleys or Strikers. It's like a protected Jeep that you see driving around, where you see them in our borders, and they're part of the FMF. It just when the US says, okay, we're helping the Israel, they'll upgrade or move quickly the things that we have already bought through the FMF. So there's some things that are coming to Nevatim that are munitions. That cargo last night that landed with the protected vehicles is something that is part of the FMF effort. Yeah, that's what I have. Financial Times.
Richard, thanks for taking the question. I have a very broad question about the situation inside Gaza. What were the military objectives that you were hoping to achieve by cutting off food, medicine, and water, and specifically fuel? And now that food, medicine, and water are being allowed in, have those military objectives been achieved? And if so, what were they?
So I feel that I'm repeating myself on this one. We don't have the obligation to give Hamas electricity. They've been in control since 2005. Water, there's water in the south.
There actually isn't water in the south, Richard. The water that's being allowed in is about 5% of the needs, and without fuel for the generator, there is no drinking water for civilians. Since we're talking about fuel, could you discuss what military objectives are achieved by cutting off fuel to the civilian population? And how are you ensuring you're meeting obligations to Israeli basic law to ensure that civilians are not being disrupted their daily need of water? I'm just asking, you did this. What was the military objective behind it?
What's your name, sir?
Mehul, Financial Times.
Mehul, I didn't understand your question. I understand your statement. I didn't understand your question.
Question is, food, water, medicine, and fuel were cut off to the Gaza Strip. This was in pursuit of a military objective. What was the military objective?
We didn't cut off their. So first of all, I know there's a lot of talk about humanitarian assistance. It's not through the IDF. My military objective is to destroy Hamas. We're going to do everything we can to keep the minimum humanitarian things in consideration, and we're aware of the pressure. We're aware of the dire situation. I'm aware that there's water in the south. I'll go and check it. I'm not aware that there's no water in the south. I'll have to check and get back to you.
Well, I mean, without fuel, we're talking about 5% of the daily needs of the civilians, right? Because you need to pump it. But I'm just asking.
That's not my fuel. Fuel is not our responsibility. They destroyed the two crossings that were coming in from Israel. They attacked them. We're at war, Mehul.
I understand that. The political echelon very clearly said no food, no water, no medicine to be allowed in. I'm asking you, what was the military objective behind that decision?
These are not things that are discussed within the military objectives. Thank you.
They're discussed under them.
No, you're wrong. We can talk about it offline after.
I think we shall.
What?
Let's take it up offline. I'd appreciate that.
Okay. Ruth.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. I wondered if there were reports in the Israeli press yesterday that some of the bodies of the Hamas terrorists had signs of drug use or something like that, of hallucinogenic drugs or something. And I wondered if you could confirm that and maybe give some more details.
So we actually looked into that. You know, I've from what I've checked right now, this is what I know, and I looked into that. You know, that would have maybe served our purpose, but it's not the case. They were not in uppers, which, you know, everybody thought they were using. That's not aware of that. From what I checked, they weren't using it. Paul Adams, BBC.
Thank you very much, Richard. Could I ask if you have any more observations on the Yemen angle yesterday? You know, judging by the distance, the weapons used would have been pretty longer range than I think anything that's been recorded from the Houthis in the past. Do you have a sense of where these things were going, what kind of range weapons they were, and whether you think this was actually a direct effort by the Houthis or their backers to get involved in this current conflict?
So I'm going to be very careful with that one, Paul, because, you know, I was listening to, you know, I'm listening to my American brothers in the military there. General Ryder mentioned last night that they could have been flying north, but the question is if they would have arrived and maybe where they were intercepted. So I don't know. I don't know where the ship that intercepted them was. I don't know what their direction is. It'd be irresponsible for me to go into the nitty-gritty of that data. The backers we're aware of, that they're the Iranians. I think you all know that. But to give you, like, I'm an ex-ballistic missile defense guy, so it would be irresponsible on my behalf to give you the timeline, where it was intercepted and how long and what was shot at. I think there'll be more to come. I'll talk to my Americans, but it's their business. And I think they've been very clear, and again, in saying we are here supporting the Israelis to make sure that no third party joins into this. So I think if it was them and they did it, big success.
But your assumption is that they were shooting at you?
I don't know.
Okay.
Anshul.
Thanks, Richard. Sorry for being hoarse. I hope you can hear me. There was a lot of messaging yesterday in the Israeli media about finalizing of battle plans, of Defense Minister Gallant going and saying to the soldiers, "You're going to be there very soon." Where are we now? Because the impression that was being given last night was that this is a matter of hours until the IDF goes in.
Well, Anshul, sorry, I can't go beyond what the minister said, messaging wise. Do you think would it be fair for me to give here our timeline? Fabiana?
Hi, Richard. You said that you are acquiring information from Hamas militants you have captured alive. How many of them? How many terrorists are you keeping alive?
I don't know. I'll have to check. I don't know the number. Michael, I'm sorry.
Good morning, Richard. I'd like to pick up the question on the humanitarian case from another point of view. There is a deal between the United States and Israel by no less than the President of the United States, Netanyahu, that there shall be humanitarian aid. The question is not whether or not, but just when. So the army is objecting this time schedule so far. So can you elaborate on the reasons why you're objecting the beginning? The second question is, of course, you will not tell us.
Michael, how did you assume we're objecting? Where did you get that assumption? Did you hear
that? Because it said to be start this morning and it didn't start. And Hagari said we will set the time when and it will be possible. So there must be objections if it's not taking place so far.
It has got nothing.
But I have a second.
Michael,
may I ask a second question? The second question is, of course, you will not tell us when the ground invasions start, but can you tell us how the plans are made to maybe inform the media and the press? How are we going informed, and maybe also preparations on the ground for further reporting? Thanks.
So please take out of the narrative that narrative of the question that there's an IDF objective. That has nothing to do with the IDF. These are efforts happening in diplomatic at the leadership level. I know it was discussed between the Americans, and the IDF will comply with any political decision on the humanitarian aid. So the word objection, please take that out of the narrative. That's
okay. That's an answer. Okay, thanks.
Okay, and the
second
one is there will be no update whatsoever.
Okay, thanks anyway.
Beltrue.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, quick question. Just to double check, you said 203 hostages and 100 still missing. Is that correct? 100 additional to the 203?
Yes, that's what I have, yes.
Yes. And of the 100, is there a concern that they may never be found? And where is that concern coming from? Is it that there are maybe 100 that are being held in different parts of Gaza by perhaps groups which aren't Hamas or PIJ? Is that why you're worried they may never be found?
I don't think we've even gone to the scale of what we're dealing with right now with the amount here. I mean, just to remind everyone here, when we had one soldier, a soldier who was abducted into Gaza, the numbers here, and then everybody's now talking to me about the humanitarian. And again, we will act professionally and as much as we can, but we still have grandmothers, children, babies, girls inside the Gaza Strip, and it is a concern, and it's something we're taking into consideration. To give you, if I know where they are right now in the Gaza Strip, that's not in my lane. It's being handled in the most sensitive, closed circles within our intelligence community and our political echelon, and that's all I can say about it. David Brennan.
Thank you, Richard. There's been speculation that the Sayeret Matkal unit might be involved in the sensitive hostage operation, and I was wondering if you could comment on that. And then also there have been accusations from Gaza authorities and from the Jerusalem Patriarchate that the IDF was to blame for an explosion last night at the St. Porphyrios Orthodox Church in Gaza City. Can you comment on that? Thank you.
So I won't comment about Sayeret Matkal. Of course, our intelligence corps and all our special ops are involved in this. The whole country is mobilized in this operation. It's not only regular infantry. About the compound in Zaytun, we're very aware that the church, there's some damage to the church. We're going to come out shortly with, I hope, a visual and an answer. We do not target. I dealt with this personally also in 2014 with the compound in Zaytun. I can blah, 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 but I want to send you the visual of what happened there so you see it. What we were targeting, what happened, everything else is just words. So we'll be out shortly with what happened there, hopefully. Okay, I'm working hard on it. Nicolas Rosenbaum.
Yes, thank you, Richard. Do you have any kind of update about the bombing close to the Greek church in Gaza?
That's what I just talked about for the last 3 minutes. I'm
sorry, I was not with you.
Okay, so I won't repeat. I'll take one last question. Yakov Lapin.
Hi, thank you, Richard. Can you talk to us a little bit about any coordination that's still ongoing with the Palestinian Authority? How is the IDF working with the PA during these times? Thank you.
So I think it's at the same place there it was just before they started. Of course, it's edgy, but right now in Judea and Samaria, in a lot of the places, there's still it's not as it used to be, but it's still in place. Nothing to add beyond that. Thank you very much, everyone.
Richard, it's Michal from CBS, and I raised my hand, so maybe you didn't see it, and it's a very short clarification that we're trying to get. Yesterday, Barkat, the economy minister, said that there's a green light from the government for the army. Our question is, does that mean that the army now has the green light to start the incursion whenever they're ready to do so?
I have no comment on that, Michal. Sorry.
Hi, sorry, NPR. Are American citizens, is there any talk about American citizens or foreign nationals leaving, Rafah crossing today or at any point?
I know there's a big effort. It's not in my lane. I know there's a big effort. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.